What do we expect of the schedule tonight? What do we think is going to be good for Dallas in this space? I know you have the list of the opponents.
Yes, we have the list of the opponents we can throw up here. Here's home and away. Obviously, we know they're going to start against the Giants. We know they're going to play, obviously, to some degree, the games that he just mentioned. But Baltimore is on the home side, but that counts as a home game. It is in Rio, just as a reminder. And then they're playing the Eagles on Thanksgiving. So, but this is the schedule of the away teams on that list. I'm just thinking tough road trips. Seattle and LA comes to mind. Lambeau could be tough, but the Packers seem to be in a bit of a transition period. Houston, that defense was monstrous last year.
Yeah.
And the Colts, depending on whether Phillip Rivers is still playing, could be interesting. But still, the Colts out of that are the 108 team outside of obviously the division rivals that you're sitting there thinking, okay, maybe that's an easier play. But they were still a really good team last year.
We literally do 54 minutes of just drawing each other offside the entire show.
Easily.
Of the road games that were on the list, we were talking about this during midday. Which one? What are the one or two or three that you'd be like, I want to do that one?
Okay, I would say the Rams, just because I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be explosive.
SoFi is cool,
and I love SoFi. But it's one of the few NFL stadiums I've been to. I mean, you have to pick the Seahawks. Like reigning Super Bowl champions. I think they're going to be really good again. I also haven't been to Lumen Field, is it?
Yeah.
And
I haven't been there
I want to
either.
hear how loud it is
Yeah.
because I've heard
It might be the last thing you hear.
Yeah.
It could be.
But no, I think that would be an awesome game. I don't think the Cowboys stand a very good chance of winning it, but I think it would be an awesome experience. And I kind of hope they play them at least like middle of the season to later in the season, because I want to see how they would stack up against a team who's proven that they know how to win, specifically with a good defense.
I would be utterly shocked if that game isn't in prime time somewhere. Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, defending Super Bowl champions against the ratings draw that the Cowboys are. That's a lock for a prime time spot.
Yeah, but also looking at the schedule, the away schedule's tough.
Yeah.
But the home schedule with some of those games being in prime time, as you just mentioned, if it's the Bucs and Jags, those are games. Jags have been solid last couple of years. Bucs with Baker, you don't know what kind of game you're going to get out of Baker. So I mean, judging at that schedule. The Cardinals, who you lost to last year, by the way.
Yeah.
That of all the things on the Cowboys and what they've done over the last 20 years or so, the Cardinals being the fly in the ointment almost every season is one of the wildest things.
Looking at just the whole roster, like obviously I'm looking at games outside of their divisional opponents just for like, okay, what do you think might be a easier game to get through? Yeah. Like I immediately was like, yeah, Cardinals. I mean, obviously Titans, but like Cardinals, Titans, and then I'm like, no, Cardinals were one of the teams they lost to last year. Like, you cannot at least with what we've been conditioned to expect, you cannot just like check off these teams that you'd think they should be able to beat on paper.
Right.
Because it's Cowboys.
You mentioned SoFi Stadium, and it just makes me want to tell the story of the first time that I ever went to SoFi Stadium. I don't know if I've told either of you this story before, because I think it was before both of your time here at WFAA.
Cool.
AP and I go out there. It was the first time any of us had ever been. And you guys know AP, Arnold Payne, our photographer here at WFA that's worked here since 1980. And this man is as prepared could be. And anytime he's going somewhere for the first time, he wants to be there super early to get the lay of the land, to know where he needs to put his gear, to know where the press conference room is, to know all of the things that he needs to know. He wanted to get there a bit before I did. So he went himself in the car, and we're right down the block. So I was like, I can just grab an Uber. I can walk it if I need to. It was like a mile and a half away. I was like, it's fine. You go ahead. Because he was like 4 or 5 hours before kickoff wanting to get there. I go to leave to go to the stadium. This is like 2021 maybe, something like that. And I couldn't get an Uber. It was going to be like a 35-minute wait for an Uber to even get to me, let alone to then matriculate through the traffic and get to the stadium. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start walking and see, if I can punch in Uber in a couple minutes and see if it looks any better. That wasn't working. And I start walking by the bird scooters, like it wasn't, what's the other, the Lime scooters?
Yeah.
I think it was a Lime scooter. I was like, perfect. Download the app. Had never downloaded the app. Jump on one of these. I look like a goofball. I'm suited and booted with my backpack on, just down the road on my way to SoFi Stadium.
As the Cali boys do.
Yes, and if you've ever been to a stadium as a member of the media, one of the big pain in the necks is trying to figure out where the heck is the media entrance.
Yes.
I had no such concerns because I was just humming my way around the building. All right, I'll find it eventually. Hey, there we go. Park, turn the thing off. I can't turn it off.
Oh, no.
Why can't I turn this thing off? I'm hitting the button. I'm looking. End the ride. It won't let me end the ride.
Has to go over.
End the ride. Why won't this thing let me end the ride? What is going on? And I start to zoom out to try and figure out what's happening, and all of a sudden I see a perimeter around the stadium wherein you are not allowed to park, said Scooter.
No.
And it was about a mile-wide perimeter. Mind you,
I think I know where
because
this is going.
I had to matriculate my way through all of this, we're now only about an hour and a half until kickoff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to get inside. I have things I've got to do. I've got, And I'm like, what am I going to do right now? I parked this because I started doing the math because it was like, whatever, it was like 10 cents a minute or whatever. I'm like, okay,
Is it worth just leaving it on?
If I just park this thing here for the whole game, what would it cost me? Like, what is the actual expense? And I did. It would have been ridiculous. It was, I don't remember what the number was, but it was like, okay, that's way too expensive to realistically consider doing this. So that's not an option. I walk into the stadium. I go up to the press box. I drop off my jacket and my backpack because I know at this point I'm going to have to hoof it back in, and had to go back downstairs, drive this thing back outside of the perimeter, and turn around and make. And all I could think is, why did this thing not tell me you're in a just
a no scooter zone?
Yes, just tell me, and I would have stopped at the perimeter. Like, why is there not a governor on this thing that just turns off?
Like when you go to the grocery store and you take the cart too far and it wheel locks up on you.
Why wouldn't it just do? At 1 o'clock kickoff in California. Mike. Oh, I was hot.
It would have been hysterical
goodness,
if it just turned off at the perimeter and all of a sudden
he's flipping over.
Welcome to SoFi, Mike.
I might have taken that over the eventual outcome of this day.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of turning off and flipping over, it is 12:35.
Real quick, before we move on, I do want to pull up VO15 here.
The end of this story, real quick.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I walked.
It's not over.
Well, just to put a button on it, the end of the story is I walked into the press conference as the national anthem was being performed. Like, I made kickoff by the skin of my teeth.
Nice.
It was a ridiculous morning.
Nice. I fully anticipated.
VO15.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly.
Is that Jake Ferguson?
We think so. But again, the schedule releases tonight. Every social media team is going to be on fire trying to be creative with all this kind of stuff. We, based off of the two previews we've gotten from the Cowboys, have zero clue what they're planning. And I'm not even sure I want to know at this point.
Apparently, it's a Tyler takeover. We got that much from another teaser last night. So the Tylers on the offensive line apparently are going to be heavily involved in this. And then apparently it's going to be completely unhinged, and they're going to be shaving each other's heads or something.
That is one way for them to guarantee it's going to be original and different from every other team, because no other team has 3 giant offensive linemen named Tyler.
That is true.